responded after 9/11 because they recognized that some people did something and that all of us were starting to lose access to our civil liberties.
And I consider Congresswoman Omar, Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, Congresswoman Tlaib, Congresswoman Presley, I think is her name. They call themselves the Squad. I consider them to be fools.
Before we start, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Stateline if you want more clear-eyed breakdowns like this. Something happened in Washington that the media desperately wants you to miss. No shouting, no insults, no viral theatrics. Just one senator asking a question so dangerous it sucked the air out of the room. Senator John Kennedy didn't tell Ilhan Omar to leave. He didn't talk about her race or her background. He asked something much simpler and much harder to answer. If America is as evil, racist, and irredeemable as she claims, why fight so hard to run it? That single question exposed a contradiction the left never wants examined.
Number two, frankly, I don't know why the president felt the need to tweet on this subject at all. You know, when you argue with a fool, you just prove there are two. And I consider Congresswoman Omar, Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, Congresswoman Tlaib, Congresswoman Presley, I think is her name. They call themselves the Squad. I consider them to be fools. They hate America. They think America was wicked in its origins, and it's even more wicked today. They ought to be thanking America instead of calling America evil and wicked and racist. But this is America, and they have the right to their opinion. But I don't like to see the president even dignify their point of view. Besides that, I think that the Squad, as they call themselves, they are destroying the Democratic Party. You know, when your opponent is screwing up, don't interrupt him. Let him go. I mean, just looking at this from a political standpoint, if I didn't know better, I would think the members of the Squad were GOP plants. I mean, they think that illegal immigration, socialism, higher taxes, abortion are all moral goods. They think America, Israel, free enterprise are moral bads. That's not what most Americans believe. And that's kind of where I am on the subject. The president has explained his position. He has said, look, here's what I meant. If you're not happy.
I'm in a town where we have a lot of people who are refugees who have come, some from Somalia, some from Bosnia. I've never heard one of them say that America's a terrible place or be unappreciative of our country. Most of them are thankful. I've met people who have come here from behind the Iron Curtain that got away from communism. They're some of the best Americans we have because they really appreciate how great our country is. And then I hear Representative Omar say, oh, America's a terrible place. I'd love there to be justice, and there's no justice here. It's like, well, she came here and we fed her, we clothed her, she got welfare, she got school, she got health care, and then lo and behold, she has the honor of actually winning a seat in Congress, and she says we're a terrible country. I think that's about as ungrateful as you can get. And so while I'm not saying we forcibly send her anywhere, I'm willing to contribute to buy her a ticket to go visit Somalia, and I think she could look and maybe learn a little bit about the disaster that is Somalia, that has no capitalism, has no God-given rights guaranteed in a constitution, and has about 7 different tribes that have been fighting each other for the last 40 years. And then maybe after she's visited Somalia for a while, she might come back and appreciate America more.
Omar laughed that Americans speak of al-Qaeda in a menacing tone and remarked that you don't say America with this intensity. You say Al-Qaeda makes you proud. Al-Qaeda makes you proud. You don't speak that way about America. And at a press conference just this week, when asked whether she supported Al-Qaeda, that's our enemy. That's our enemy. They are a very serious problem that we take care of, but they always seem to come along somewhere. She refused to answer. She didn't want to give an answer to that question. Omar blamed the United States for the crisis in Venezuela. I mean, think of that one. And she looks down with contempt on the hard-working Americans, saying that ignorance is pervasive in many parts of this country. And obviously and importantly, Omar has a history of launching vicious anti-Semitic screeds.
Senator John Kennedy went on record criticizing Ilhan Omar and the rest of the squad, calling their worldview destructive, ungrateful, and completely out of step with the American people. He said they believe America was wicked at its founding and even more wicked today, while openly treating socialism, illegal immigration, and higher taxes as moral goods, and free enterprise, Israel, and American sovereignty as moral evils. Kennedy made a key point that most politicians are afraid to say out loud. These lawmakers enjoy every benefit of American freedom while spending every moment condemning the country that made their power possible. He contrasted Omar's rhetoric with immigrants and refugees he's met from Somalia, Bosnia, and communist countries who actually appreciate what America offers because they've seen the alternative. He reminded people that Ilhan Omar came to this country, received food, education, health care, and opportunity, and rose all the way to Congress. Then she turned around and called America unjust, racist, and morally bankrupt. Kennedy didn't argue with her identity. He argued with her ideas. He questioned the gratitude, loyalty, and honesty of someone who despises the system but desperately wants control of it. He cited her past remarks about Al-Qaeda, her refusal to clearly condemn them when asked, her habit of blaming the United States for global crises like Venezuela, and her repeated contempt for everyday Americans. He also referenced her long record of anti-Semitic rhetoric that's routinely downplayed or ignored by the media. What made this moment powerful wasn't anger. It was clarity. Kennedy framed the contradiction so cleanly that it became impossible to ignore. You can't say the house is evil, broken, and beyond repair while demanding the keys. You can't claim America is uniquely evil while insisting it owes endless opportunity to those who openly resent it. The left survives on slogans and moral posturing. Kennedy stripped that away and forced a basic question into the open. Do you believe America is worth defending or not? And if you don't, why should voters trust you with its future? That's why the media won't replay this exchange honestly. They'll call it dog whistling. They'll scream racism. But they won't address the logic because logic is lethal to narratives built on grievance. Kennedy spoke calmly, almost casually, but underneath was a razor-sharp point that Ilhan Omar had no real answer for. This wasn't about one senator or one congresswoman. It was about whether Americans are still allowed to expect loyalty from their leaders, whether citizenship still means something, and whether loving your country is now considered a moral crime. Kennedy didn't shout. He didn't accuse. He asked a question. And the silence said everything.